Hello there. So we're going to do a typical handstand inversion warm-up. So we're going to warm up the wrists, the shoulders. There's different ways to warm up, but and I don't always warm up the same way, but this is a pretty typical warm-up for me. So I'm going to just start by very easy, sitting on the knees, inverting the palms. We're just going to go back and forth, putting just a little bit of pressure on the hands, one and the other, rocking side to side. And then we're going to start to put just a little more pressure on each hand as we rock from side to side. And then when we put more pressure on one hand, you're going to straighten that arm and kind of push down with that hand. Straighten the other arm as you push down, going back and forth. Building up a little more heat in the wrists, building that, waking up those muscles in the wrists. Now we're just going to do the same thing, putting the backs of the hands on the floor beside you. One and then the other. Make sure you start pretty easy, just a little pressure at first. Then you can start to build the pressure, pushing a little more with each hand, going side to side. As you push down, you want to straighten the arm and roll the bicep forward. Roll the bicep forward. Do the same thing with the other one. Straighten the arm, roll the bicep forward as you push all the fingers down. One and then the other. Takes a little practice to get the coordination right. That really starts to build more, warm the muscles up more, and it starts to build that mind-muscle connection, starting to connect the wrists with the elbows and the shoulders. Okay, now we're going to come on to all fours. We're going to add that scapular protraction. So invert both palms, and you're going to protract the scapula like a cat pose. Rounding the spine, really pushing down, straightening the arms. You can do it several times. You can go from cat and cow. But when you do the cat pose, rounding the spine, really push down. And you might even pull back a little bit. Arching the back, and then rounding, protract the scapula, push down, and pull back a little bit, stretching out those wrists more and more. And then we're going to do the backs of the hands. So you just go back and forth. However much I do on the inverting the palms, I do the same amount on the backs of the hands to keep equalizing the wrists. So in this one, again, you want to straighten the arms. Look at the biceps. Watch them roll forward. Protract the scapula. And obviously, you're not going to pull back too much, but you can pull back a little bit. You might bend the arms, and as you straighten them, protract the scapula, push all the fingers down, roll the biceps forward, pull back a little bit. You can do it several times. Bending the arms, straighten them, push the fingers down, biceps forward, protract the scapula, pull back a little bit. One more time. Bend the arms, push all the fingers down. Fingers, elbows, biceps forward, shoulder, scapula, pull back a little bit. Periodically, you just wave out one hand and wave out the other. You want to do a lot of wrist warm-up. I like to do a lot because it really builds that connection, and then my handstands come much, much easier. So again, we're going to invert both palms. Fingers facing you. Okay? Protract the scapula and try to come into a downward facing dog. If you can't do this, just keep doing the previous exercise. On the all fours, doing the cat and cows. But if you can do down dog, shift forward to plank. And then as you pull back, you want to push down and protract the scapula as best you can. So it's obviously harder because you're pulling back. The arms aren't really in the position to easily protract the scapula, but engage the scapula nonetheless, like you're protracting it. And shift forward and pull back. Shifting forward and pulling back. And coming down. Same thing, but backs of the hands pressing down. We're not wearing ourselves out with this, okay? But we're trying to build a lot of mind-muscle connection. Getting those wrists nice and warm and the muscles connected. So again, most people probably when they're starting out aren't going to lift their knees up. They're just going to keep with the cat-cows, okay? But if you can, lift up the knees. But you really want to press those arms straight. Roll those biceps forward best you can. And I can't pull back too far. And most people can't. The wrists just don't bend that much. But do your best. Pulling back. And you can shift forward. Pull back. Shifting forward. Pulling back. Again, do this with the knees down if this is too much for you. And coming down. And just waving out one hand. And waving out the other. Wrists are probably starting to feel pretty warm now. Okay? So now let's move on to the shoulders. Okay? So, first just a down dog. But we want to do a very specific down dog. So we want to really build the connection. So don't just mindlessly pull back, but rather push all the fingers down, and especially the insides of the palms, that first knuckle. Push it into the floor. Keep the arms straight, pulling back, and don't let the shoulders relax. Pull the scapula apart. Protract the scapula. It's like you're moving your shoulders down, almost trying to wrap your shoulders. Pull them in front as you pull back. See, when you protract the scapula and you pull the shoulders down, it makes your hands want to come up. So don't let them. Feel those opposing forces. Push the insides of the palms down. And that might make your shoulders want to come up. And don't let them. Pull the shoulders down. Push the insides of the palms down and pull back. And coming down. And let's try to do it with one hand. So take one hand a little bit to the center. Other hand comes underneath. Grab the shoulder or the shoulder blade. And pulling back. Downward facing dog. If you can't do a down dog like this, just keep your knees down and just imagine. Pull the shoulder down, protracting the scapula, pushing the inside of the palm down. But if you can't, down dog. Same thing. Pull with that hand that's pulling on the shoulder blade. Pull the shoulder down. Push the inside of that base hand down. Keep the hips square. Arms and legs strong. Pulling back. And knees come down. And switch sides. So other hand slightly to the center. Take your other hand underneath. Grab the shoulder, or if you can, the shoulder blade. Maybe just pull back with the knees down first. Push the inside of that base palm down. Pull that shoulder down with the hand. And keep that arm active as you do down dog. Pulling back. Keep that arm strong. Push the inside of the palm down. Pull the shoulder down with the hand. Keep the legs strong. Keep that base arm straight. And knees come down. And let's do a little bit more. So knees up, full down dog. Push the insides of the palms down. And take one hand to the calf, ankle or heel. And try to square the shoulders. So when we do this, one shoulder will probably try to come up. Try to keep your shoulders square. Keep pulling that base shoulder down. The hand that's forward. Focus on that arm. Keep it strong, straight. If you want to grab the opposite calf, ankle, or heel, go ahead. But really try to square your shoulders. Keep your arms straight. And switch sides. So one hand forward, other hand reaches back to grab the calf, ankle, or heel. But try to square the shoulders. The hand that's forward, that's the shoulder you want to focus on. Pull that shoulder down. If the hand back wants to grab the opposite calf, ankle, or heel, go ahead. Try to square the shoulders and square the hips. And hands forward, full down dog. Pulling back. Push the insides of the palms down, protract the scapula. And take the knees down. So that's pretty typical. I haven't done any practice today yet, so that's about as much as I'll do. I'll keep warming up, but now adding in some basic inversion practice. So let's start with the forearms down, then we don't have to add in the wrists just yet. Hands together, elbows no wider than the shoulders. You want to look down at your hands, and you want to find the right distance from the wall. You might have to play with it a bit. I can already tell, I think that's going to be a little too close to the wall. So maybe here. So if my foot is in line with my hips, I can straighten the leg and come up into a handstand if I want. But don't come up to the inversion. Keep that foot on the wall. Don't let the top leg go behind you. Keep it straight up and push your hips forward. And then you can just switch the legs. One leg down, one leg up. And switch again. When this gets easy, you can switch the legs at the same time, doing a forearm balance for a moment as you switch your feet. But don't do that unless you know you can, because we're really just warming up. You want to be successful with your warm-ups. Switching one and then the other. Coming down. And you might do that a few rounds of these if you need to. You might find yourself getting tired after switching just a couple of times. And there's no sense in keep going if you're tired, because you want the warm-ups to be successful. You want your technique to be really pristine. So it might be better to come down, catch your breath, let the muscles relax a little bit, recover, and then do it again. So you can get very good attempts every time. Okay? You want to go a little deeper. We want to do it on the hands. So basically the same exercise, but the handstand. With this one, I'm going to really focus on straightening the arms. And I know you're not protracting the scapula is a subtle action. You also might think of pushing the shoulders towards your ears. Okay, so one foot on the wall, one leg straight up. You want to straighten the arms. Don't take the top leg back. Keep it straight up. Lift your hips. Shifting forward. Keep the arms straight. Switch your feet. Switching again. When you find the position, you really want the foot that's on the wall to just barely touch the wall. Okay? So eventually, you can just switch the feet in basically a handstand. But again, don't do it if it looks like this. You want to do it nice and clean. So if it's not switching cleanly, just take one foot down, one foot up. One foot down, one foot up. and coming down. And again, you might do several rounds of that, okay? If maybe it takes all your concentration and strength just to switch the feet a couple times. Then by all means, just switch a couple times or once or twice, come down, breathe, get a breather, and go and then do it again. And then again, maybe a third round, fourth round, fifth round, whatever. You can't really do too much of this. Better to do the simple, basic stuff over and over and over again, and do less of the very difficult stuff where, you're gonna give an attempt, but you're not gonna really land the attempt every time. So basically, I would do everything you've just done, and then you can practice whatever you're practicing, wherever your level is at a handstand, okay? So you can do any of these or something else, but I'll just show a couple of things you might practice, okay? Chest to the wall. Walking all the way to the wall and getting just the chest and the feet on the wall. You want your hands to be just an inch or two away from the wall. Very close. And pushing down with the arms. Trying to get as long as you can with the body. Reach with the feet. And when that gets easy, you might come just a little bit away from the wall. Shifting forward and try to balance. I would recommend taking the feet together. Shifting forward, lifting the legs up. As opposed to one foot up and then the other. Now keep both feet on the wall or both feet away from the wall. Keep them together. You will naturally square your body and do all the things that you need to do, rather than doing it one leg at a time. Coming down before you wear yourself out and get too tired. Okay? And periodically, because everything is on the hands, okay, in that position, throughout my practice, I'm just going to put little pressure on the backs of the hands, just to equalize the wrists, pushing into one and then the other, and waving out the other. Another type of handstand to practice, the kick up. If you can't quite kick up to the wall at all, because you're just not used to putting that type of force into your kick up, we'll practice that until you do it very comfortably. Kicking up to the wall, finding the wall. So you can do it basically every time. But if kicking up to the wall is easy, and there's really no point kicking up to the wall, what you want to do is kick up and not find the wall. Okay? So get just a little distance from the wall. And when you kick up, try to kick up, but don't touch the wall. There it is. And you might stay in your handstand for a moment or two, but then come down and keep practicing. Keep practicing kicking up and not finding the wall. And I like to switch sides, kicking up from both sides. So that's another practice you can do. Another one is the jump up. Jumping into the tuck position, okay? The tuck position might be a step beyond beginner, but it can definitely be a part of everybody's handstand practice. If you're used to kicking up to the wall and you can kick up no problem, no reason you can't practice the jump feet together. You want to get close enough to the wall, but have enough distance so that you can arch your back and let your butt touch the wall. You've got to touch the wall with your butt, though, to know that the wall is there. Okay? So feet are together in down dog. You jump up, and you gotta let the butt touch the wall. And it's great to just hold there with the butt on the wall and push really hard. Push your chest away from the wall. It's a great stretch. And then try to balance with the feet away from the wall. And then, of course, you can practice jumping up without finding the wall. So, lots of things to practice. Of course, if you're working towards doing your handstand in the middle of the room, you've got to practice falling. So there's just no excuse. You know, if you're not comfortable with that at all, maybe you need to spend a couple months with the wall work. But eventually, you will never move away from the wall if you don't practice falling out of a handstand. And that is, you know, for most of us, that's going to mean falling to the side. So great practice for that is basic cartwheels. And then when you get good at cartwheels, you can just kind of kick up and twist out of it the leg you kick up with. So if I kick up with my left leg, I'm going to fall to my left. And if I kick up with my right, I'm going to fall to the right. Okay? When you get used to falling from side to side, then you can practice kicking up in the middle of the room without fear, knowing that you can fall from one side or the other. So, lots of things to practice. Don't do all of these things. Always do the warm-up. The wrists, the shoulders, maybe a little core work if you like, some sun salutations or whatnot. The basic switches on the wall in the forearm balance and the handstands. And then after that, it's really up to you. You might just pick one thing, maybe two things, and practice them and get really, really good at them before moving on to something else. So I hope this helps, guys. And happy practicing. And I'll hopefully see you in class soon.